Hey y'all, my name's Matt. I play guitar in a band called No This Is Patrick, and today I want to talk with you about these guys. So I feel like I should start this video out with a disclaimer that I am in no way a professional puppeteer or puppet builder. So if any actual puppeteers or puppet builders somehow see this video, I'm sorry. Constructive criticism is welcome. But anyway, explanation time. I made these puppets for a music video for my band No This Is Patrick. When our first record was underway, I decided I'd wanted for a while to make a music video with puppets, and I thought it would help us stand out. And overall, it just seemed like a fun idea. And I was inspired by videos like Cockroach King by Haken, or Underbite by Protest the Hero. So over about a year, while I was sitting at work at an outlet mattress store at the time, I was just sawing away at some styrofoam and trying to learn how to build an at least somewhat functional puppet for this video. So let's take a look at each one. So first up is our singer Andrew. And normally he had kind of this floral hat that Andrew wears a lot, but I'm pretty sure he took that back because it's been about 2 years now since I needed these. Well, that's not true. A little less than 2 years, because this guy showed up in the Come Around video as well. But anyway, breakdown of how I made these. I knew that the sort of foam core, more rubber foam, I'm not sure exactly what the material is, that most people make real professional Muppety puppets out of. But I just found some styrofoam balls and just took some scissors and knives and various things and hollowed it out very roughly into two pieces, made it like a quarter piece here for the jaw, bottom of the jaw, and then I found some like vinyl flooring at Home Depot that I could cut into solid mouthpiece so that I could move it a little bit. And then just stones for eyes because I wanted to go for sort of like Adventure Time-esque simplicity. And then I tried to basically dress everyone in relevant styles to how they would dress or things that they like. And then Andrew had a microphone taped to the stick that I could control his hands with. But these are pretty flimsy puppets because I just needed like close-ups of action shots for us playing the song. So I kind of change that every now and then. And going with the cheaper materials and non-official process definitely made them harder to puppeteer. But anyway, so here's Andrew. Here's me, back when my hair was a little longer and with the undercut. And the hair has gotten caught up in more glue, so it looks even more off. But I had to give myself a Batman shirt because I needed something that would blend in well but be relevant to me. I'm pretty proud of kind of the facial hair, making it look a little bit more like me. Although a little more even than the real thing. Make it look a little better than real life. And I'll show you the guitars in a second. I have them separate because it's easier to store, and they are also pretty delicate. But anyway, you can see some of the leftover tape, and I would just tape the hands and stuff to the guitars I made, and then use these sticks from Out of Frame to move the hands. And actually, when I needed them to play with both hands, I would kind of tape it up against a box so I could zoom in and you wouldn't see that it was supported by something else, and then just move the hands along with the track. We've got Henry, the bass player, who at the time had dyed sort of mostly bleached hair. So you can see I tried to put his roots in there with like Sharpie or something. And also you can see now, since they're kind of falling apart from me filming over several months and realizing I'd messed certain stuff up and having to go back and try and get a better shot. So some of the foam is kind of coming apart. But I think in some ways, even though this is the simplest one, it kind of looked the most like him, but again, having the bass helps. So we'll get to that in a second. Then we've got Sean, whose neck is coming out of his shirt. Sean is a connoisseur of comfy, fun Hawaiian shirts like this, so I knew, because he's probably the most normal-looking person in our band, he definitely needed the Hawaiian shirt to show that it was him. and I'll show you his guitar in a second. And he didn't really have to move his head that much, so he's a little more stable right now. And then finally, for our band members, is Truman, the drummer. And now he also looks a little different now. He shaved his head, he's got a more full beard. He used to do the soul patch thing. But of course I had to give him a Pred shirt. This was the only Nashville sports team I could find a child-sized shirt for to put on him. But I needed to find one because he's really into Nashville sports. So I wanted to represent that. My backup was to find like a child-sized Rush shirt, but I think that would have been like even more expensive. But his drumsticks are still taped here together. So we would just, this is the one that I needed the most people for. All the drum stuff, Sean and Andrew helped me with, and we did at Andrew's old house in the little home studio. That was probably the hardest part to figure out because it's also the one we did first. So we really had no idea how to film it or puppeteer or anything. And 3 people with no puppeteering experience led to some pretty insane drum stuff. And by insane, I mean not realistic looking at all. But we figured it out eventually. So let me show you the instruments I made as well. So these are definitely the most delicate pieces. I mean, they're pretty much just cardboard and tape and paint and string and stuff. But I tried to make them look like the instruments we were using at the time. This is Henry's purple 5-string bass he was using, which I think was actually maybe Mr. House's, maybe his dad's. It was a really nice bass. He's moved on to that GNL now. But tried to make it accurate, got the 5 strings, got the body shape pretty much right, but the bridge, it's just duct tape. And some foam stuff I put on for the tone knobs and volume knobs. Anyway. And then for that whole first album, I was primarily playing my Tom DeLonge signature Stratocaster. So I just made one of those in my, this is pretty close to the Daphne Blue it is actually, of, I think, just wrapping paper that I had found. Wrapping paper and paint, basically. And then just having the one Invader pickup was a little easier to make out of foam. And then I, for whatever reason, in case there was like copyright, I put, instead of Fender Stratocaster, I put Fondor, which is a Star Wars reference, and Stardocast because I'm hilarious. And yeah, and I even put the little guitar cable jack down there. And then lastly, for Sean's, he has a Tom DeLonge Squire Strat as well that he used sometimes, and I figured it would be way more expedient to just make the color he has for his Strat in this video instead of doing one of his other guitars that he uses more often, but he was using this more at this time anyway, so basically the same thing, but in the Seafoam green. So I hope you guys enjoyed checking out these puppets for a little bit. I'm pretty proud of them. They're definitely an amateur attempt, but they got the job done and I really enjoyed it and I learned something. Like I said before, if any actual puppeteers have some knowledge to drop on me, definitely drop that in the comments down below. And if any of you haven't seen the Mansley video or the come around video that this guy has a cameo in, check those out in the description or at the end of this video. Don't forget to hit subscribe, leave a like, and hit that notification bell, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for listening and watching, y'all.
Well,